Okay, this one will be about what children do that creates negative state for their completely normal eyes. And this comes from Jacob Rafelson. And I'll say this about myself. When the world hands you a lemon, what do? The answer is you make lemonade. So here's Rafelson. He had the insights, scientific insights, to know what he had to do with his own children, which was to keep their eyes outside and wear the plus vernier. This does not make sense to most people, but then most people are not engineers who study the primate eye as the dynamic system it always has been and always will be. The fact that you pose optometry words on a completely normal system and make the eye seem to be defective when in fact it's normal is tragic. Gross misunderstandings of everything. So, what do children do? And this is Rafelson. That's what they do. Minus 10 diopters at 4 inches. 20 inches minus 2 diopters. Xing Chinese, probably worse. We're talking 3 inches for long periods of time. That is your average of accommodation. The Eskimos in Alaska, grandparents, all had positive refraction and 20/20 vision. This is Frank Young's study. Their kids who went to school, about 85%, the refraction of their completely normal eyes changed from a positive value to a negative value. It's a control system. So it's very clear if you're an engineer. I like the word world view, which doesn't get involved with optometry or medicine or treating people with disease conditions, etc. I can't say this correctly, but it's a German word, Weltanschauung. Correct my pronunciation if you're German. It means that a worldview changed. And this is Galileo and Copernicus and Kepler. Their worldview had to change to make sense of science and facts. This against the worldview of the Catholic Church, where the world had to be flat, ordered, in the sense of religion. And what they're saying did not order in the sense of religion. And so Galileo was hauled before a Catholic Church Inquisition about his wrong beliefs. His worldview was wrong. And so he was corrected and had to recant his worldview. And this is what happens to engineers if they have a worldview that is different than official optometry policy and thinking. This is why analysis of all eyes starting at birth will never be published, because it does not fit in with the official point of view of optometrists. It disturbs them that somebody would ask questions that make the lens look like a problem, or that they would actually have to take this problem seriously of what the kid is doing. You'll never see any publication pointing out that this is very dangerous for the child if you let him do it. So the child always does it. And two things happen when a child does it. His refractive state changes from a positive value to a negative value, let's say 20/50, and he tends to get a wandering eye or strabismus and other words of that nature. I realize it's an emergency and you got to do something. One thing they never do is have you make a measurement yourself. That's because you're a patient. And patients aren't supposed to have any capability of intelligence, understanding, motivation, having a purpose in life, a goal that might be successful if understood correctly. So you'll never have the conversation in optometry. They use that big phoropter. And the phoropter is like hitting a fly with a sledgehammer. It's not accurate. The measurements I make are accurate. I don't use a sledgehammer. I use test lenses and other means. So I get my refraction accurately. But of course, they're my measurements. I get remarks or kickbacks from my immediate relatives about this. Understandably. I just tell them what I went through and my total belief that I caused my own nearsightedness. And it's almost impossible to deal with the child on this issue. So you really have to get the child or person when he's still passing the DMV. And he should take responsibility for that with his own Snellen. He doesn't have to have wonderful vision, but he must pass the 2060 and 2040 line. Now, we have the gift of Rupa and Jeff Wong. They know those statistics I report accurately. They know if their children's vision becomes negative refractive state, measured the way I measure it, they'll have to put the child in a minus lens. So they're clear they don't want to do that to their own children. So they're taking preemptive action while the child's refractive state is still measured as positive. And that's the only solution I believe can ever work. For an engineer, it would mean he would be measuring, doing what I'm doing, basically, and doing it as long as in school, as a matter of fact, because that's what I'm doing. And I do it because I have the opportunity to do it. It's wonderful to get your vision back, even passing the DMV under your control. It's a wonderful thing. So if you're here for some magic way to get out of nearsightedness, there's none. There's only prevention. But if you're here for curious scientific curiosity, then you have Jacob Rafelson. And Jacob Rafelson tried to help, but he encountered the patient. The patient doesn't know, doesn't understand, doesn't want prevention, even when it's still possible at 2050. And so that's a benchmark for any prevention in any patient. You must do it yourself. Are there any risks for me using a plus for prevention? I've been doing it 13 years, but of course I conscientiously check my Snellen. I won't measure a medical problem, but I pretty much would know it if I saw it, and I'd do something about it and get my eyes checked for a medical problem. But the complete control of my refraction is done by myself. So I know it's annoying to talk about prevention or the need for prevention or the need to have Snellen up and always pass at least the DMV. And I would suspect a person that's good at this would get pretty close to 2030, 2025, 2020 with a standard Snellen with a bright light on it and the Snellen marked in big numbers so you know what line you're reading. If you just look at a Snellen, you're not going to know anything. That's why I have the numbers 50, 2060, down to 2020. And success for me is always passing the 2040 line. Medical people don't know how to share responsibility. I would gladly share responsibility with Jacob Rafelson if I had the chance. But that means I'd be an engineer making the refractive measurements myself and understanding that all eyes are dynamic systems at birth, not bad cameras. But as soon as you insist that eyes are bad cameras because they have refractive states, you've lost your worldview. And I don't have a worldview that agrees with calling eyes defective because they have normal refractive states. So making lemonade was meeting Jacob Rafelson and urging my immediate relatives to keep their Snellen always passing the DMV. I don't expect a lot from them, but to not wear a minus lens unless you absolutely had to, or if you did, take it out, leave it in the car. So that means wearing a minus lens for maybe 20, 30 minutes driving, whatever is required. And then get rid of the minus lens and make your own measurements using a Snellen. That's the only way of prevention that I know that will work. And I thank Rupa and Jeff Wong for helping their children that way. It's the only answer. Add your own commentary, and thank you.